All right, team, welcome to your ultimate B-Tech Sport Revision Bootcamp. Over the next few minutes, we're going to power through the absolute must-knows to get you ready for that exam. Seriously, forget the heavy textbooks for now. This is all about pure, focused knowledge. Let's get right into it. Think of this as your high-speed exam cram session. We're going to move fast, lock in those key concepts, and make sure they really stick. It's kind of like a mental workout to get you in peak condition for the big day. So are you ready? Let's do this. Okay, first things first, we have to tackle the fundamentals. Before you can even dream of building an awesome training program, you've got to know what you're actually building with. These are the absolute building blocks for any kind of physical performance. So look, fitness isn't just one thing, right? We split it into these two main buckets. Over on the left, you've got physical fitness. Think of this as your body's raw engine. We're talking endurance, strength, flexibility, the real powerhouses. Then on the right, you've got skill-related fitness. This is all about how you control that engine, your agility, balance, coordination. You need both to be a great athlete, no question. All right, time for our first knowledge check. Picture this. A tennis player is gripping their racket through a super long match, hitting shot after shot. Is that a great example of muscular strength, or is it muscular endurance? Go on, have a quick think, and pause if you need to lock in your answer. And the answer is muscular endurance. Yep. The key thing to remember here is that it's not about one single massive effort. It's all about the muscle's ability to keep on working, to keep contracting over a long time. That is the crucial difference. Okay, so we've nailed what fitness actually is. But how do we get more of it? Well, that brings us to our blueprint, the principles of training. Honestly, these are like the golden rules for designing any program that's actually going to get results. Now, the absolute bedrock of any good plan is the FIT principle. It's your starting point, your basic checklist. How often are you training? That's frequency. How hard are you pushing yourself? Intensity. For how long? Time. And what are you actually doing? That's your type. Super simple, but absolutely essential to get right. But wait, FIT is just the beginning. To build a truly killer program, we have to layer on these other 7 key principles. Take specificity, that just means your training has to match your sport. A marathon runner isn't going to train like a shot putter, right? And the real secret sauce, the one you have to know, is progressive overload. It's the idea that you have to keep making things just a little bit harder over time, forcing your body to adapt and get stronger. If you don't do that, you just stop improving. Okay, next question, and this one is a classic exam favorite. So you've been working your socks off, you've made some amazing gains, but then you take a few weeks off for a holiday. What's the name of the principle that describes what happens to all that awesome fitness you built? It is, of course, reversibility. It's that simple, kind of brutal truth of fitness. If you don't use it, you lose it. If you stop giving your body that training stimulus, it's not going to bother keeping those improvements around. Make sure you can explain that one. So let's talk a bit more about intensity from the FIT principle. How do we actually measure it? Well, think of it like the dashboard in a car. You need to know how hard the engine is working, right? You want to be in the right gear for improvement, not just coasting, but not redlining either. The most common way we do this is with heart rate. And the starting point for everything is your maximum heart rate, or HR max. It's just a simple estimate, really. As you can see, you just take the number 220 and subtract your age. That gives you a rough idea of the fastest your heart can possibly beat. But here's the thing. You almost never train at your absolute maximum. Instead, you aim for a target zone to improve your cardio fitness. And finding that zone is a super simple 3-step process. Step 1, get your HR max. Then, for step 2, find 85% of that number for your upper limit. And for step 3, find 60% for your lower limit. That's your zone. Okay, your turn. Put on your sports scientist hat. Grab a calculator, or just try the math in your head. I want you to calculate the full target heart rate zone for a 20-year-old athlete. Go on, pause here and give it a shot. All right, let's see how you did. So for a 20-year-old, the HR max is 220 minus 20, which is 200. 60% of 200 is 120, and 85% is 170. So the target zone is 120 to 170 beats per minute. Bam! Make sure you can show your calculations just like that in an exam. But what happens if you don't have a fancy heart rate monitor? No worries, you can use something called the Borg scale. Basically, it's just a way of rating how hard you feel like you're working. And here's the cool trick. Whatever number you rate yourself, just multiply it by 10. and that gives you a surprisingly good estimate of your actual heart rate. Pretty neat, huh? So, we've got our principles, we know how to measure how hard we're working. Now for the really fun part. Let's open up the toolbox and look at the actual training methods, the different tools you can use to target specific fitness goals. Okay, for aerobic endurance, here are two absolute classics. On the left, you've got continuous training. This is your steady, nonstop effort, like going for a long run at the same pace. Then, on the right, you have fartlek, which is Swedish for speed play. You're still moving continuously, but you're constantly changing the intensity. Think sprinting between lampposts, then jogging, then running hard up a hill. It's perfect for sports like football or hockey, where your speed is always changing. Now, if you want to develop pure explosive power, you need plyometrics. This is all about explosive movements like box jumps. The magic here is this super fast stretch of the muscle when you land, followed immediately by an explosive shortening of that same muscle as you jump back up. That rapid sequence is what builds real-world power for sprinting and jumping. Whoa, that was a lot of information. It's time to see what's actually stuck in there. Let's finish this whole thing off with a super fast quickfire round. I'm going to ask the question, and I want you to shout the answer back. Ready? Let's do it. Okay, first one. You've got a period of really hard work and then a period of complete rest or recovery. What's that called? That is interval training. You got it. Next up. All right, last one. We're digging all the way back to the beginning, to our skill components. Agility is the ability to change direction quickly and precisely without losing, what? Two things. Without losing balance or time. Yes, fantastic work. And that is a wrap on our revision boot camp. We've blitzed through the components, the principles, and the methods. So the final question, well, it's not for your exam, it's for you. Now that you've got the theory down, how are you actually going to apply all this stuff to your own training to make yourself better? Have a think about it. Now go and absolutely smash that exam. Good luck.